Welcome back to Dummies for Sports. 2 3 week streak going right now. We're on a roll. Guys, we're back. It's December football. Let's go. We're going to talk about some big injuries that happened week 14, some consequential eliminations in the NFL, and then the highest leverage week 15 playoff or games in the NFL for playoff seeding.
I think you might notice a little bit of a different voice right now leading you off. That is because Yehuda, the original guest star.
You're not a guest. You're one of us. We switched our whole name because of you.
No, don't give away our secrets.
You knew, the Ravens need one touchdown. The Broncos might score one more field goal. So if you get one more touchdown, you win 10-9. Call it a day. You can win 10-9.
I'm going to go with the Commanders as well, just because it's too much of a question mark over there under center for the
I can't believe you saw that right now. That's asinine. You're crazy.
He's got the
crazy.
full package.
No way. I don't
care.
care. No way. I can't even. It's hard to even look at you right now when you say something like that. That's crazy. Okay. And guess what? In basketball, you use a basketball. In football, you use a football.
All right, here we go. Dummies for Sports. First thing up, we're going to talk about, I know probably the entire country, besides for one small city in Missouri, not even Kansas, in Missouri, was excited to see that the Chiefs got eliminated from the playoffs for the first time in 11 years, first time in the Mahomes era that they're not making the playoffs. But we were sad to see, never wishing injury on a guy. And I know much as we hate this guy, we don't want to see him get hurt. Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL the last couple minutes of the game when they were probably going to lose anyway. Yeah, it sucks to see in December. Rocky, how'd that feel for you to watch? Be happy, I assume, Chiefs getting eliminated, but then having to watch Mahomes tear that.
You're right. It is like a lot of mixed emotions. I think a lot of people kind of had the sentiment that we wanted to see the Chiefs make the playoffs. A team makes the playoffs 10 years in a row, makes the AFC Championship game every year, makes the Super Bowl almost every year, and it's like we want some new blood. We had this with Brady, right? It was the same exact thing. Everyone's like, we're sick of Brady. Just someone beat him, please. Last year, everyone's just Josh Allen, please. Every year, it's Josh Allen's got the chance to beat him, right? And he never does it. 1 year was Lamar, 1 year was Burrow. Nobody can ever do it. So this year, it's like, okay, they just don't make the playoffs. That's the easiest way to kind of eliminate that threat. But then, it was a week of celebration around the NFL because it's like, finally, new blood. There'll be a new team in the Super Bowl this year from the AFC. But torn ACL sucks, and you also know that even if it doesn't affect the rest of his season, because the Chiefs were eliminated from the playoffs regardless of whether or not he got injured. Even if they win that game, they're probably done. So probably didn't affect much. Yep. But at the same time, it sucks for him. He's going to have to rehab the entire offseason, and torn ACL rehab, as one of our hosts here knows, is not a very fun place to be in. So it's a long road for him, long recovery, and the question is going to be the entire offseason, where does this leave Mahomes week one? Is he going to play? Is he going to be the same player? I think Meisty can shed a little more light on that, being that he has personal experience with it, but certainly it's a big injury for them, and although it's going to be nice to see some young blood in there, didn't want to see that. Didn't want to see it like that, for sure.
I actually heard someone say on the podcast, they're like, it's funny if you go on Twitter, there's a lot of people that sit there and they talk about, oh, my experience with injury. Meanwhile, you're talking about a guy who's got world-class doctors, world-class therapy, world-class recovery. He's a world-class athlete. His body is built different. And we're like, well, when I got hurt. But I will say, the one thing I did find interesting was usually they wait for the swelling to go down before surgery. He had immediate surgery, which obviously means that the swelling was pretty good, and which means that his recovery starts now versus, in a month or so. But
I heard this could also be because of LCL, that they say it was also an LCL tear.
Correct.
I don't know how true that is.
I don't know. did you still have a chance at the playoffs if Mahomes didn't get hurt? I think about 30-40% of them still say, yeah, if Mahomes didn't get hurt, we're going to the playoffs. Even though that sounds crazy, but at the end of the day, Mahomes, Brady, the stat of Brady is that he never took a step in the regular season while mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. And Mahomes now gets to keep his streak going of that because he has not officially taken a mathematically eliminated snap. But I personally, I mean, obviously everyone's body's going to react different, but having surgery now, football season doesn't start for another 9 months or whatever it is. He should be good for week 1. Again, that means that he could miss, practice. He could miss training camps and he could miss preseason games. And so to just kind of come in at week 1, and even when you come back, it takes 6 months, 7 months to really. I mean, not everyone's Adrian Peterson, so it could take time for him to really get back into it. But at the same time, he should be ready to go for next season.
Yeah, even if he's back for week 1, the question that I always have is, and I guess it's a little hard to know, is will he be full strength or not? Because you see guys come back from ACL tears and they're just as good as they were before, and you see guys come back from ACL tears and they can't quite get the same footing. Their athleticism is not. This is a guy that relies heavily on his athleticism, right? Some of those third down scrambles that he's had throughout his career that has literally brought them to Super Bowls. This is a guy that evades sacks in the pocket. He needs that athleticism. And will the ACL be fully recovered? Will it affect his game at any point? I don't know. I think that's for me a bigger question. And if he misses a couple games, okay, whatever. But if that really affects his play the next year or two, I think that's probably a bigger factor for me.
We have a guy precedent of a great quarterback who's won a bunch of Super Bowls in his 8th or 9th year, I believe. Same exact year that Patrick was in, Tom Brady, when he tore his ACL. But that was week 1. But then the next year, they still made the playoffs. Then the year, and he was solid. But then the year after that, they were 14-2 and made it to the Super Bowl, I believe. But no, maybe not made the Super Bowl, but they were. I do remember they won 14 games. But yeah, exactly. We'll see. Mahomes' athleticism may be affected, but as Meisty said, even though we don't want to detract from your ACL recovery, but yeah, Mahomes has the doctors and a few more doctors and trainers than Meisty on his road to recovery, balling out in the JCFL on Sundays. He's still a dog on Sundays, 9:30. But with modern medicine, and since it's been 15, 17 years since that Tom Brady injury, I think we shall see Mahomes rise again, and he will have quite a bit of motivation to come back and still prove to everyone that he's still what he thinks to be the best quarterback in the league. But onto another ACL injury, unfortunately, that will directly affect this season. Micah Parsons tore his on non-contact versus the Broncos, and Bo Nix chasing Bo Nix around all day, and that significant hindrance to their defense, and the guy that they call their closer, basically to come in and sack the quarterback on a big third down, wreck the game. We could all, a lot of us, especially the Packers fans, trying to picture us. Micah coming around the edge on a huge third down, the NFC Championship game, stripping, let's say, Matthew Stafford in the NFC Championship to get the ball back and bring the Packers to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, will not be a reality anymore. Meisty, how does this affect the Packers and what you think they can do, their ceiling this year in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, they also had the injury to Christian Watson, right? Or whatever I think his name is Christian Watson. So yeah, they had an injury to Christian Watson also. So I think that they're really banged up right now. And obviously Mike Parsons plays a huge factor. But a lot of that team relies on the offense. If Jordan Love is balling, the team is balling, the defense kind of just has to do its job. I think that the team still runs through their offense. Now, I think that, again, getting through a team like the Rams, the Seahawks, even the 49ers, who are, out of this world if you really look at the numbers this year, when they have starting quarterback and full healthy roster. But this is a big one. This is obviously way bigger than the Mahomes right now. He also, Mike Parsons is the best defender in the league, or at least top 3 or whatever, however you want to put it. He's a top tier.
Myles Garrett.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe not the best, but he's definitely top tier. A top tier player, someone that can get it all done. And so I mean, this is huge. This is absolutely huge injury for the team, and a brutal for their fact that they lost all their draft picks. They had no draft capital going into next year. So this is kind of like an all-in play, and now it's gone. But again, it still rides to their offense, and if Jordan Love is balling, the team will ball.
Yeah, there was a notion that for some reason Micah Parsons lost a step, which never bared itself out on the field. I mean, his sack totals were a little down, but in my opinion, sacks are very much dependent on other factors. How long the quarterback holds on to the ball, that's a big factor. Jared Goff gets sacks a lot less simply because his time to throw is a lot higher. How well the quarterback evades sacks in the pocket, like Lamar throughout. Not this year. Lamar has very high pressure to sack rate this year, but in general, it's been pretty low, like last year, because he's very good at avoiding sacks. Guys like Mahomes and Burrow also. So there's a lot of factors to that. But like, if you isolate Micah Parsons' numbers this year, they're absolutely insane. Okay, and every year. So he has the third most pressures in the league this year, 79, third most in the league. He has the fourth highest pass rush win rate in the league, 22.6. So that means on 22.6% of his pass rush downs, he's winning in 2.5 seconds or less, which is incredible. Again, fourth best in the league. And he has the second to highest, according to PFF, the second to highest pass rush grade behind only the great Myles Garrett. So, I mean, this guy is a beast. He's an absolute beast. Sans Myles Garrett, he's probably been the best pass rusher, in the last 5-6 years, and that's including TJ Watt. TJ Watt's good at finishing, but doesn't win as many as his battles up front as Micah Parsons is. There are few people better at winning at the point of attack than Micah Parsons is. This is going to be a huge loss, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on Rashawn Gary and the other pass rushers on the Packers, who are good players, but we saw last year, like, Micah Parsons is the type of guy that takes your defense to the next level. He's the type of guy that takes your defense from being a pretty good defense to a top-notch defense. And now they go from being a top-notch defense to a pretty good defense. The question is going to become, if Jordan Love and Christian Watson continue to have that connection that they've had throughout the year, and the offense continues to be explosive, sure, they can make up for that. But is it going to be enough? Did they need Micah Parsons to make a Super Bowl run, or are they good enough without him? It's going to be a big question, and I think these last few weeks of the season, if anything else other than making the playoffs, is going to show us a lot about what the Packers defense is capable of without one of the best players in football.
Yeah, I do think they need Micah to make a Super Bowl run. They are a good team. They're a playoff team without him, but with him they have Super Bowl upside, and I think it affects. And I know Meisty said, if the offense is balling, if J-Lo is balling, then they should be good. But they still have the Christian Watson injuries. They still have the Josh Jacobs injury. He didn't practice all week, and they have a huge game that we will cover up. Week 16, I mistakenly said week 15 before, but week 16 this week. And the defense can cover up for that, because if you have a guy like Mike Parsons who can create turnovers and create sacks and long fields for the offense, it will lead to more possessions and free possessions, especially with the turnover. And you don't have that anymore, and you lose that little edge that he gives, large edge that he gives you. And I think it significantly prevent them from being able to beat a team like the Rams or the Seahawks maybe this season in the NFC playoffs before even making it to the Super Bowl.
True.
Last thing we're going to talk about before we talk about the games, before we head to the games, we're going to talk about Joe Burrow and his very despondent, almost sad recollections and press conferences that he's been having recently. It seems like the Cincinnati Bengals have made Joe Burrow lose his love for the game. I know it's like a meme. I found my joy as back in NFL Twitter, or I lost my joy, these kinds of things. But it's kind of happening to Joe Burrow. I don't know what's happening with his personal life. I could just talk about his football life, and he's been missing the playoffs the last 3 years in a row, I believe, 3 or 4 years. Not even getting a chance to go out and try to prove himself as one of the best quarterbacks in the league in the playoffs. And it's because of his organization. His organization, they did pay his two guys that he wanted. He wanted Jamar and T. Higgins. We have said from the beginning, I believe we both said definitely agree it should have paid Jamar. We very questionable about the T signing, especially with his injury history, and then it happened again. He's been getting injured this year. And also Joe Burrow dealing with his own personal injuries and having to deal with being out for 3 months. but an organization that pays two or three skill position guys a third of the cap, they have no money then left to pay their defense, and then that's why their defense was on a literal historic worst run. So it's just like they have two scouts. The Cincinnati Bengals are the Cincinnati Bengals for a reason. They're the cheapest. They got the cheapest owner in sports. They didn't clear the snow off the seats before the game against the Ravens on Sunday.
Is that true? You had eyewitnesses
That
to
is
that?
true. They violated league policy. So multiple articles. They weren't wiping the snow off. So, Rocky, is Joe Burrow going? Carson Palmer, is he going to request a trade or retire from the Bengals within a year or two? What do you think?
I mean, ultimately, only time will tell, obviously. But listen, a lot of people read into what he said or implied during his press conference prior to the Ravens game, right? It was really more like a lot of things are on his mind, and then he kind of walked it back during the week this week and said, no, had nothing to do with football. It was non-football related, fine. Whether or not you want to read into the words is your decision, obviously. But Joe Burrow being frustrated is not a novelty to anyone, nor should it be. I mean, his defense is garbage, okay? It's been 3 years. It's been 3 years since they've made the playoffs. He's injured half the time. Like, of course he's frustrated. He can barely get to the field, and when he gets to the field, his defense is giving up 35 points a game. So, I mean, who wouldn't be frustrated? I'm sure we would all be frustrated. So for him to sit here and be frustrated and be depressed is not the craziest thing in the world. This is his job. His job is to play football games. He's very good at what he does. Being that he's very good at what he does, naturally he should be a part of a team, especially with playmakers that they have, that should be winning 10, 11, 12 games every single year and competing for championships and so on and so forth, and they're just not. And a part of it is the Bengals front office, which is just one of the worst front offices in football. And it's like, the AFC North is the funniest division ever, right? Nobody's ever won the division 3 straight years. The Ravens are trying to pull it off this year, but no one's ever won the division 3 straight years ever. And yet, half the division doesn't know how to build a roster. It's the funniest thing ever. And the other half are like two of the best roster constructed managing teams in the last 25 years. So it's like, I don't know how to explain it, and yet still somehow these other teams are competitive. So there's a lot of parity over in the AFC North. But will Burrow ultimately leave the Bengals? Listen, there's only so long that you can spend this much money on a focal point of your team and not make a run. So whether it's the Bengals moving on from Burrow or Burrow moving on from the Bengals, ultimately you have to make a change if it's going to continue this way and they're going to continue to lose games and pay that much money for nothing.
Well, right. So I think I look at the Bengals like the Orioles. They signed this big player like Chris Davis, Joe Burrow now. Signed the guy. They're like, well, and it didn't work out. It's not working out. Obviously, Chris Davis had different problems than what Joe Burrow is going through, way different. But then it's like, well, we're not paying anyone else because we paid this one guy and it didn't work out for us. So this is why we don't pay players. And it's like, come on, dude. You're. And then you can get deep into it in another podcast about why owners are so cheap. Like, why do you want to own a sports team and not want to win? It's the silly thing because you make more and more money. And these guys are money hungry. And we're not going to talk about why the rich keep getting richer and they're a bunch of losers. But at the end of the day, Joe Burrow, I don't want to say he lost his love for the game. I think that, it's hard. He just got crushed. As Jamar Chase said it after the game, he's like, look, we're all in the NFL. We're all football players. Sometimes you just get your ass kicked. It is what it is. and I don't, so it's a really tough loss. And officially that eliminated them from playoff contention. So, I really think that they're just going through it. Now, Joe Burrow, I say this about Myles Garrett. I say this about other players as well across different sports. You are on a bad team. You knew this. You have been on a bad team. Joe Burrow, you are the reason why your team is good. Now, obviously, there's Jamar Chase and there's T. Higgins and there's a few other pieces. But you are the reason why you guys are good. You are the reason you made the Super Bowl. You chose to re-sign with that team in 2023 or whatever it was. You chose to sign that contract because it made you a lot of money. But you could have gone anywhere. Anyone would have taken Joe Burrow that year. You would have came flocking. Any team would have taken him, would have traded for him. He could have forced his way out, but he decided, I'm signing here because this is where my most money, they can pay me whatever it is. And that's what happened. So don't cry now that, you're not happy that this is what's going on. Now, again, you want to be traded, go for it. Request your trade. Force your trade. Go to the Vikings. Go to the Seahawks. Go to the Rams if Matthew Stafford retires. Go to whoever you plan to go to afterwards. But don't your love for the game. I don't think you lost. These guys, this is what they breathe. This is what they've done since they were 4 years old. They've been playing football. I don't agree that guys lose their love for the game like that as much. It happens, I guess. But a guy like Joe Burrow, he just wants to go somewhere and win. But again, Joe, it's your fault. You signed with the Bengals. You did it to yourself. You could have gone anywhere 3 years ago.
Yeah, they believe they can change the Bengals, but I personally, or you want to believe that you have the courage and the power and the strength to change a bad team, but sometimes that pervasive culture of bungling just exists and continues. And I genuinely do believe within a year he will request a trade, and I think he will have more fun again being off the team. It just must be an Ohio thing, the Bengals and the Browns. Like, it's got to be rough. I mean, I never heard anybody say they want to go to Cleveland.
Miles Garrett doesn't want to leave apparently. So
except for LeBron, but Miles Garrett. Yeah.
I don't know what Miles Garrett's doing, but let's keep going.
Yeah, that was wild. That he was complaining about, like, oh, this is what I signed up for. Like, brother, you signed the contract, dog.
with the brooms.
Yeah. So we're going to do some speed rounds. We have about 7 games to go over and should have about 3 minutes per game. So let's start with the huge game tonight as this recording. Rams Seahawks. We're each going to give our pick and our analysis. And then, Rocky, what's the line on this?
So the line on this 1.5 Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 1.5.
1.5 Seahawks. Okay, so I'll start us off with this one. I believe Seahawks have the number one defense in DVOA, but their offense has struggled here and there. JSN is obviously an epic monster. He's a dog, absolute beast, but I still have issues with that guy behind under center, Sam Darnold. I know he's been good, but still have trouble believing that he can really change that QB bust narrative, and he was really good last year. But then in the biggest moments against the Lions for the 1 seed, he got beat up and played awful against a backup Lions defense. That defense was on their 4th, 5th stringers, and he couldn't read the blitz. He was just getting smacked. And then in the first round of the playoffs, got sacked 9 times, got whooped by this Rams team. So I saw a really close game in LA before, earlier this season, when I was in the Grand Canyon. I remember watching that game at the Grand Canyon, but I had to watch my football. That was awesome. But I got to take the Rams again, even though it's in Seattle. I trust Matthew Stafford. I think we'll have an MVP moment from him tonight, even without Devontae Adams tonight. Puki Nacua is going to come through in a big moment against this really strong defense, and they'll win another close one.
Yeah, I think Sam Darnold since the last game against the Rams. So that was we've all been waiting for the Sam Darnold implosion because he obviously wasn't good in his career until last year against the Vikings. 4 turnovers in that game.
Yeah, and he had 4 picks against them.
He had 4 turnovers in that game against the Vikings, correct. Since that last matchup, he has remained bad. That's the dirty secret about Sam Darnold. So here's a very interesting little tidbit about Sam Darnold, right? Against 2 high coverage in the last 5 weeks, he has a 44.6 passing grade. That's where he's really struggled. It's very interesting. When they put 1 safety up there, he has a top 5 passing grade in the league. 2 high coverage, he really struggles. And the Rams use more 2 high coverage than anyone in the league. So they have the highest EPA per play in the league when using 2 high coverage. So it's going to be very tough. A guy that's already been struggling the last 4 or 5 weeks to find his footing, a guy that Sam Darnold, when he slides. Like we saw that last year down the stretch run of the season against the Lions and against the Rams, the last 2 games of the season. When he starts to play bad, he plays very bad. So, I think the Darnold implosion, inevitable, maybe not, but is anyone surprised? No. I mean, this guy's been a journeyman his entire career. He came and played at a high level for a good portion of both the last 2 seasons. But I think the Seahawks are going to have to bang on that defense a little more. They're going to have to target someone other than JSN because I think that, again, with those 2 high coverage, I think the Rams are going to do a good job limiting the big plays. And ultimately, I agree with you. I'm going to take the Rams to cover a 1.5 plus 1.5 for sure. I'll take them.
Rams straight up.
I have to agree with the Rams. Sam Darnold's been struggling lately. He does have the most wins in the last 2 seasons, but a lot of that comes from obviously last year's 14 wins. But first of all, no Devontae Adams, like was mentioned. Puka Nacua is in some sort of trouble with the NFL. The NFL is not happy with him over some streams that he's been up to. He will be suspended. The team is
What did he do?
suspending Puka Nacua for the first possession, I think, is what I read online today.
That's garbage. That's a symbolic gesture. They're not suspending one of the best receivers in football for any extended period of time when they have a chance to get the number one seed.
It happens all the time. Puka Nacua, Puka Nacua is the Raiders. Yeah, the Rams are suspending Puka Nacua for the first series in the matchup against the Seahawks tonight. Nacua reportedly showed up to the Rams facility incredibly hungover 3 times this week. I will say, Rocky, it's not the first time he's done it. No. I don't know. Rocky got in trouble at the NFL because he was on a stream and he did some gestures that weren't so kind, but he didn't realize. I don't think he understood. I mean, he's a little, and then his brother just got arrested for stealing a car that was owned by a Lakers player. The Nacua family is going
shady stuff.
I will say this. I will say this. I will say this. It's not the first time, Rocky. The Cowboys did that to both CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens when they played, I think, against the Raiders. They were out for the first year. I think teams do it a lot more than we notice, and we just don't see that play. We don't realize that the player.
When you play against the Raiders, you can sacrifice one series and probably still win the game.
I get it, but again, I know, I understand that. But I think a lot of teams do this more often than we know, and we just don't know about the fact that a player like. It hasn't happened to Zay Flowers, maybe, but it's very simple. Like if Zay Flowers came late to practice or came late to a day or 2 days, and then John Howard said, "We're not going to make this a media thing, but you're out for the first series. No problem. Boom. Second series is back in. Run the ball 3 times. Derrick Henry 3 and out. Boom. You're back out. Next drive, he's back in. But I will say, I'm taking the Rams here. I mean, I do love the Seahawks. I love the Seahawks. And I really want the Seahawks to win because if the 49ers can win out, with the Seahawks win tonight and the 49ers win out, they will win the number 1 seed. And that would be the craziest thing. Because we are all these teams, and meanwhile, the sneaky 49ers, who are my favorite team, and I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl, are right there.
Kyle Shanahan, Coach of the Year, immediately. So next game we're going to go over. That is very interesting, though. That is a good call. That the Niners can sneak through if these Rams and Seahawks keep beating up on each other. The Packers and the Bears, huge game. They just played 2 weeks ago, and now they're back. This time is going to be in Chicago. Last time was in Green Bay. Green Bay won that one by 1 touchdown on the last 4th down interception by Caleb. So, Meisty, I'm gonna ask you, what do you think? I have Green Bay minus 1.5 without Micah and potentially without Christian Watson, as we just discussed. And Christian Watson's been limited, so he's questionable. But without Josh Jacobs, who did not practice all week, but is still listed as questionable. But the Bears are going to be missing Luther Burden and Rome. So what do you think?
I don't know that the Bears need those guys specifically to win. I mean, we saw that last week. But I do think that the Bears are one of the hottest teams right now. They keep finding ways to win, regardless of what the situation is. They're at home. The Packers are down bad. I like the Bears here. I think they find a way to win. I know that some people don't like Caleb Williams, but me and Yehuda are big Caleb fans, and we think he can get it done. And that throw he made to DJ Moore was an incredible throw, and really Ben Johnson has really brought these guys out to play. And I mean, you remember before the season there was a rumor that he threw the offense out of practice, saying, if you can't run this play, don't even show up tomorrow or something like that. So he really is a good coach, and he's really coaching them. And I think he's also a Coach of the Year candidate. I think the Coach of the Year candidate is like the best Coach of the Year candidate race we've seen in a while. Usually it's a clear cut. Somebody. Now we have whoever gets the 1 seed, this team, like Vrabel's the favorite, but that's kind of crazy because he's not even going to get the 1 seed. And he might lose a couple more games down the stretch. Might even while they're in the playoffs. But other than that, I think that the Bears found a way to win this one yet again.
Yeah, former Ravens. it's by 1, right? So if they win, they have to go unless it's a tie game. No,
1.5.
Oh, you have 1.5. Oh, I have 1. Okay, well, I guess technically they could win and not cover. I guess we'll bet against the line though. So the also Mike, by the way, Mike McDonald.
Wait, it's Green Bay. I have Green Bay minus 1.5. So yeah, if you have
Correct.
straight up.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. That's what I have as well.
My bad.
Right. Yeah. So the last time the Bears and Packers played, again, just a couple weeks ago, like you said, Yehuda, Christian Watson had a huge game, 2 touchdowns in that game. So if he's been their best receiver all. They drafted Matthew Golden in the first round, and he was kind of supposed to be that big downfield playmaker, and Christian Watson instead developed into that, and Matthew Golden hasn't been a big part of the offense. So of course you'd like to see him get involved a little more if Christian Watson is going to be absent. But if he plays, it's going to make a tremendous difference. Again, going back to Micah Parsons for a second, the splits with and without Micah Parsons in the pass rush has been tremendous. So pass rush win rate for the Packers with Micah Parsons on the field, so it's 53.3, top 5 in the league. Without, it's 45, bottom 5 in the league. So they literally go from a top 5 pass rush in the league with Micah Parsons to without. And that's like 130 snaps. That's not a small sample size. So listen, they're going to have to blitz a little more. They're probably not going to be able to win with 4 nearly as much as they were able to before. They're going to have to get a little more creative with the blitz packages and disguising and stuff like that, like a lot of other teams do. Some teams have the luxury of sending 4 consistently, like the Browns, like the Packers, and they can get pressure, and they don't need to blitz that much, and they don't need to disguise that much, and just, we're better than you, we're going to win our battles up front, and that's it. But the Packers don't have that luxury. The Texans, correct, exactly right. But the Packers don't have that luxury anymore. They have a good pass rush, but it's going to take a little more disguising on defense, I think, to create more of a pass rush, especially against an elusive guy like Caleb Williams that can move around in the pocket. So ultimately, I'm still going to pick the Packers. And I'm going to pick the Packers because that's what I'm rooting for, because I want Bears-Lions Week 18 to be a winner-go-home game. And if the Packers win this game and then the Lions win the next 2, then that's what we'll set up for Week 18. So that'll be pretty exciting. So I'm going with the Packers here.
I am also going to go with the Packers. I do believe in Caleb Williams, and I do believe in him enough to draft him in Dynasty. And I know he's feeling it, especially after we saw that throw to DJ Moore. That was so sick. I could not believe he even tried to throw that and that he fit it in. And even though it's in Chicago, I still think that the Bears' defense isn't very good. And missing Josh Jacobs is going to be huge for them if the Packers are missing Josh Jacobs. I think this is the kind of game where he would not practice all week, but still get up for this game and be ready to play. But if they can establish the run game, which the Packers are going to try to do, or the Bears are going to try to do, also establish the run game. But both of them turn the ball over very, very few times. They're tied with only 10 turnovers all season, bottom 5 or top 5 in giveaways by the team.
But the Bears defense isn't very good, and the only reason that they can create good plays is they create a lot of turnovers. So you could say they're opportunistic, but they give up a lot of yards and give up points. So I can see Green Bay being able to move the ball on them, even if Christian Watson doesn't play. We'll see the other receivers, and I love Jaden Reed as well, to be able to potentially move the ball on them. So I'm going to take the Packers. I can see a path that Caleb is able to escape because there isn't a Micah to chase him down. He's able to create some plays out of structure, but I still think that's the biggest thing that he needs to take to the next level, is be able, because we know he can make these crazy plays like we just saw against the Browns, but we need him to be able to just hit all the layups and stay in structure within the play of Ben Johnson's play. And the Packers, it was a very close game last time. It was a one-possession game, and they ultimately got an interception to finish it off, and I think we'll probably see that again this time, except it's going to be in Chicago, and the Packers are going to win another close one, either by 3 or 7 points in this epic division rivalry. Next, we're going to do Steelers-Lions. This is a huge game for us, and as Ravens fans, and it is very important because the Steelers could win this game and then potentially win against the Browns the week after, and then Week 18 wouldn't mean anything anyway. And like Rocky was talking about the Bears-Lions being a winner go home, which I want as well, which another reason why I did pick the Packers, because I think that is exciting as well for Bears-Lions. But I also just don't really believe in the Bears defense. But Steelers-Lions, the Lions are still fighting for not the 1 seed, but they're fighting for playoff positioning and fighting with, while the Packers and Bears are fighting each other, Lions are going to be like the Niners team and sneaking up. So, Rocky, with all their injuries, their safeties and their corners and all their defensive injuries, kind of feeling like last year, except they're slightly declined on offense. They're missing Ben Johnson and stuff. Do you think the Lions can beat the Steelers after at home in Detroit after that big win by Pittsburgh on Monday night?
So there's two things weighing against us over here, right? On the one hand, Mike Tomlin never wins 3 straight games, and he never wins 11 games in a season. On the other hand, Mike Tomlin always beats teams that he's supposed to lose to and loses to teams that he's supposed to beat. So this is a team he's supposed to lose to. They're 6.5-point underdog. So logic would say so something's got to give. And I would pick the Lions to win but not cover. 6.5 is a big line. Rodgers has been playing better the last couple weeks. I mean, listen, take a few shots down the field to DK Metcalf, really. Let Darnell Washington do some damage after the catch. It's not a bad offense. I just think it's been operated poorly for the better part of the season. But this is a massive game for the Lions. It's an absolutely it's almost do or die for the Lions. The Lions right now have a 44% chance to make the playoffs. If they win, they go to 55%. If they lose, they go to 19%. If they lose, they need a lot to go their way. If they win the last 3 games, and reminder, they have the Steelers this week, and then on Thursday in the Christmas triple header, which is looking to be a very weak lineup of games right now. They have the Vikings. So by the end of the week, they can set up themselves to win and get in the last week against the Bears. They need the Bears to lose, and then they control their own destiny. That's it. Or if the Packers lose, then they need the Packers to lose one of the other games against the Ravens or the Vikings, or if the Niners could lose against the Colts, So they have. I think if they win out, they'll probably make it. So they have to take care of business here against the Steelers, and I think the Lions will win but not cover because I think it's a big line.
The Lions, I agree with you real quick on that, and I think that they just can get the job done. Hopefully the Steelers can find ways to lose both weeks. But at this point, it really doesn't matter. The Ravens need to just win. It doesn't really matter what happens. We just need to keep winning. So my eyes are all on the Ravens, really, and the Patriots Sunday night. It's going to be nice for the Ravens, though. They're going to know, going into Sunday night where they have to be, and that it might be a must win, and it might, that's good. And other than that, I think the Lions win here. I just think that Dan Campbell's going to find a way. This is not a good Steelers team. They found some ways to win the last couple of weeks, and they had a really big man that tight end that can make big moves and big plays. And that's actually I'm surprised he didn't do much in the Ravens game as much as he could have. I think he's going to do more in the last game of the season. But let's just hope the Steelers lose and the Lions.
Yeah, big Lions fan this week, but I do believe that they are going to win as well because, like Rocky said, they're kind of playing for their playoff lives now. They're playing at home. Jared Goofy in a dome is going to be Jared Goff, not Jared Goofy. It's going to be a nice 70-degree day on turf. They're going to be zooming. Jahmyr Gibbs, hopefully, we'll see him running all over him. Monty running all over that Steelers defense like the Bills did and like some teams have been able to do, run on this team. And the Steelers still might not have TJ Watt after that lung.
Right.
And Detroit actually has an underrated defense with their they obviously are losing guys, like both their safeties are out and Brian Branch out for the year and corners, but they have the top 8 defense in DVOA. And I think if they can really establish the run game like they really like to do, that they should win. And I will actually take the Lions to win and cover the -7. Hopefully they'll win by 10 points. I see our next game is going to be Ravens-Patriots. Speaking of the Ravens, we're going to move on to the game that is the Sunday night game. Now flex away from that Bengals-Dolphins game, which would have been very exciting to watch. Yeah, Quinn Ewers, the NFL, the right thing. Watch Quinn Ewers versus a sad Joe Burrow with Sunday Night Football. Quite a disaster. So, great move, good call, NFL and NBC scheduling. But I gotta say, the Ravens, I could definitely see them losing this game, especially with how the season's been going. But they like to show up in these purple and black unis that they're wearing. And on Sunday night, I remember the last time the Ravens played the Patriots on the Sunday night at home against a hot Patriots team. I mean, obviously the Patriots are coming off a loss, but against a hot Patriots team, they're undefeated. Tom Brady and the Ravens beat them by 17. And obviously this is a little bit of a different Ravens team, but the Patriots are actually 17th in DVOA overall of all teams. They're 11-3, and they're 17th in DVOA. DVOA does not really like them. They one of the weakest 11-3 teams they've ever tracked. Their defense is ranked 26th in the league. That's like around teams like the Commanders. Arizona has a better defense than them. Carolina has a better defense. They're barely above the Giants, according to DVOA. This is just according to DVOA. So I don't think they're that strong on defense. If the Ravens get that run game going, we'll see the touchdown scoring part like the Bills did in the second half of the game, where they dropped 5 straight touchdown drives on the Patriots. What do you think, Meisty?
Yeah.
Go, Meisty.
I think that Derrick Henry is going to play another huge factor in Sunday night's game. I think that what else is there? I mean, I think other playmakers need to come into effect. It can't just be Zay Flowers. I mean, it's worked sometimes, but you need the Mark Andrews to play big. You need Bateman, and you need Hopkins, and you have all these other guys, and I don't know what's up with like his name's not slipping from my tongue, but the other tight end, Isaiah Likely, Kolar is just a great blocker. He does his job. But a guy like Isaiah Likely, who's going to be the future chief next year, unfortunately, taking over Travis Kelce when he retires. The Ravens really are desperate to win here. Meanwhile, the Patriots, who don't really control their own destiny, don't control their destiny for the 1 seed, do need to win a game win a game or two. I think it's just one game to clinch the division. I think that both teams here are kind of like Ravens have more to play for. The Patriots kind of are taking that backseat. But again, I've always been saying it. It's a fraudulent season for the Patriots. It's crazy that you play who you play, so you can't control that. So they play bad teams. Yes, they beat the Bills. Okay, that's division. We lose to the Ravens. They lose to the Browns. We lose to the Steelers. We lose to the Bengals. Even when they're at their worst. But then again, the Bills came back and they took care of business. The Ravens are considered a really good team. Patriots are technically a good team. I see the Ravens winning. There's a reason why Vegas has the Ravens as favorites, so I'm all in for the Ravens to win here. I think that they win, and I think they win handedly.
Yehuda, you got to go?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think the Ravens win handily, because I don't think we can win handily any year, except for apparently we did it against the Bengals last week, or this year against any team.
A rare one.
I will take the Ravens because I want to believe. So I will take the Ravens to hit the exact line, because they're -3 right now, I'm seeing. So they'll win by a field goal.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna give my. Do you want to go first, and then I'll give my breakdown of the game? If you got to go now, whichever one you want. But anyway,
Your analysis, then I gotta go.
Yeah. So, listen, I mean, the Patriots happen to be very good against inside power runs, and that's what the Ravens have been feasting on the last week, especially against the Bengals. Because last week against the Bengals, they were playing shotgun a lot and kind of getting a little cute, and then they're like, forget it, let's just run the ball, and it worked very much so, and it's worked throughout the last bunch of years for the Ravens since Lamar's come into the team. So, but I think it's gonna be a little more of a struggle. Like you mentioned, Yehuda, that a lot of areas of this Patriots, a lot of the underlying numbers of this Patriots defense doesn't favor them necessarily, but they are good in inside runs, which is kind of the Ravens' strength. So it's strength on strength a little bit here. So that'll be kind of interesting to see. But listen, the bottom line is I think the Ravens are going to have a hard time containing those big plays from Jake May, which he's made a feasting off that this year, right? He has like a 99.9 PFF grade when throwing the ball 20 yards or more. It's insane. His efficiency when throwing the ball down the field is uncanny, quite frankly. It's just insane. He's had such a good hit rate on those deep balls, and those are very low percentage throws, and he's made them look like absolute handoffs. So I think that does have to come down to earth at some point, which is why I do believe that the Patriots will not make a playoff run, because I don't think it's sustainable. But I do think they're a dangerous team. Even though, yes, their schedule's been misleading, they still beat the Bucs and the Bills, and they got up 21-0 against the Bills. But like the Ravens also blew a lead against the Bills. It's Josh Allen. Josh Allen can do that against anyone. So I don't hold it against him too much. At the end of the day, they took care of business. They beat a bunch of their teams by 7, 10, 15 points. Most of them weren't close games. Like the Broncos just squeaked by a bunch of these games by last-second field goals. So, like, I'm not too concerned about that, about the schedule necessarily, but I am concerned about the sustainability of Drake May's game. But ultimately, in this one, I don't think the Ravens should be favored in this. I do think the Patriots are going to cover the 3. I won't say whether or not they're going to win, but I'll take them to cover the 3.
All right, we're slightly arguing and slightly knocking heads on this Ravens Patriots matchup in the Dummies for Sports room, and we have a few games that we're going to go over. But right now, gotta head out, and we'll see if we can get to those games very soon.
Week 16 NFL going to be huge. December football, we love it, and every single game matters, every single play matters, and it's going to be so exciting to watch this come down to the finish.
Peace out.
Let's go.